We've got Dawn Neeson and we've got Christopher Biggins going through stories in the papers and things that are making the news today. And Dawn, I started off talking about this conversion to Christianity for people who have arrived and who are staying in the barge in Portland.
Yes, obviously this comes on the back of the Abdul Azidi story, the acid alkaline.
So he's one of them who was allowed to stay in the country because he had gone all seen the light.
Turned down for asylum twice and then converted to Christianity and was allowed to remain in this country, and then went on to horrifically injure that poor woman and her 2 children. He should not have been here. So this story moves that line on, and it is like 40 asylum seekers on the Bibi Stockholm. I'm not quite sure how many there are on there at the moment.
300.
300, yeah. So it's 1 in 7 of the 300 migrants on this barge in Portland, in Dorset, are now converting to Christianity.
Right, so here's my point, right? So do you arrive in the country and then there's somebody happy clappy standing there waiting for you to say, come and talk to us? I mean, if they were converting you to any other religion, it would be an outcry sort of thing. So what is the deal?
Well, look, call me a cynic, but I think what happens here is they're from countries where Christianity is punishable, often by death, like Afghanistan, which it was the case in the Azidi case. So if they convert to Christianity, it helps their asylum claims. They are not going to get sent back to countries like Iran, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan.
Well, hang on. I do think... Look, we spoke to the former detective at the top of the hour, and he said far be it for him to get between a man and his God. And I do think we need to be a bit careful. I mean...
What, are you kidding?
No, I'm saying clearly there is a strategy.
Oh, hallelujah. Let's all...
There is a strategy going on, but perhaps some of them are seeking salvation.
OK, all right, Isabel.
But also it's an excuse, though.
It's an excuse.
I'm sure there are people who are taking advantage of it, and there always will be, but I do feel a bit uncomfortable about saying people can't convert to Christianity effectively.
No, of course they can.
Why is there a sort of...
the judge differentiate
why is there an industry,
cases?
why is there an office set up to convert you to Christianity when you come through to throw holy water on your head and get you down on your knees?
It happens in prisons with
It happens, but it shouldn't be happening. That's what do you think, Biggins?
I agree. I mean, I agree with both of you, because I think, you know, there are people who really want to be Christians and they find a lot of faith in God. I believe in God.
I only escaped this horrible country I was in to get to the UK so I could become a Christian and prostrate myself.
I'm sorry, I'm with Isabel on this one, with Eamonn on this one, sorry. And, you know, and what struck me was in 2016, because we've had this before, haven't we, the odious creature that blew himself up outside the Liverpool Women and Children's Hospital, and then another odious piece of scum who killed those 3 men in Reading. Both of them had converted to Christianity. And in 2016, the Dean of Liverpool Cathedral said he had converted 200 asylum seekers in 4 years, but added, I can't think of a single example of somebody who already had British citizenship converted from Islam to Christianity. And I think that says it all, to be honest with you.
I think it's an excuse.
Interesting.
It's an excuse for people to think they can do things that they wouldn't necessarily be able to do.
I just wonder, how do you prevent that from happening? Do you then have people of the cloth turning away people?
You don't offer the service. Why is the service even being offered?
Or B, do you then have judges saying, I don't believe you, you're not a Christian?
Well, I wish I was a judge. Hello, hear you. Here comes the judge. Judge Holmes in session. You're a liar. I don't believe you. Forget it. That's exactly what I'd have been doing.
You'll have to answer to that at the pearly gates yourself.
Yeah, that's OK. That's fine enough.
Some of them are actually going as far as now having crucifixes tattooed on their bodies. So, you know...
I wonder how many of them actually go to church.
Well, I'm sure the congregations yesterday were packed out with them.
Anyway, just want to make a point about that. That was the story that was getting under my skin this morning. Headline in the Daily Telegraph.
Let's talk about GP digital passes, Biggins. This is all part of the Times Health Commission. They want to try and fix the NHS for us. I'm all here, all ears.
Well, I think it's a brilliant idea, because I think, you know, the trouble is, we were talking, Dawn and I were talking earlier, before we came on. I mean, she's been in hospital recently for her mother's her mother's husband, who had to go to hospital. And there were people there who gave all their details, and they had nothing. They had to repeat themselves about 8 or 9 times in a visit to the hospital. Whereas if they could put your name and age in, it would be so easy. You know, and also abroad. You know, these could be... And Dawn came up with an idea which I think wouldn't really happen necessarily, is the fact that then they would have all your information and that could go against the system. But I think it's worth it, because I think if you get really ill, it's much better to go immediately and for them to find out what drugs you're taking, what's going on with you, how ill you are, how perhaps you're, you know, not so ill as you think. You know, I think it has a lot of positivities.
Well, Biggins, I've been in and out of hospitals for quite a few times over the past 2 years, and the amount of times I've had to fill in the same form or to confirm my details, find my glasses, do what I've got to do. So we're all agreed this is a good idea.
Very good idea.
And in this poll that the paper mentions as well, I think most people, I think it's about 86% of people think it is a good idea and balanced. There are some people going, yeah, but there's a security issue. We don't know how secure the systems are. People are accessing your very personal information is the risk factor. But I think the benefits probably outweigh that.
I think they do.
Dawn, what about this banned dogs death of a grandmother? Eamonn was pointing out to me that in this house they had 8 dogs.
Ridiculous.
You have to ask questions about how you can possibly be in control of that number of dogs.
Impossible.
It was 2 adults and a puppy. This happened in Jaywick Sands, which is in Essex, on the Essex. I used to go there as a kid on holiday. This is a grandmother called Esther Martin. She was visiting her 11-year-old grandson, who lived with his dad, and as you say, Isabel, there were 8. We don't know for sure, but they look like XL bully dogs, which are now obviously illegal unless they are muzzled and chipped and registered. We don't know whether these dogs actually were, but she was visiting.
The danger is the sheer amount of dogs. Dogs are pack animals, and they begin to act like a pack when they're with others.
And as I said, there were 2 adults and 6 puppies in the house. But, you know, XL bully puppies are huge. I mean, they can cause some damage as well. But it just sounds absolutely horrific. It happened on 4 o'clock on Saturday afternoon after she arrived from London to visit her grandson. It's just a horrific story, and you would have thought the introduction of the laws would have maybe changed things, but it doesn't seem that's the case.
I think also it's not...
They're breeding.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily the dog's fault. I think it's the breeders or the people who own the dogs who influence the dogs to a certain extent to cause these terrifying things to happen. I mean, this poor woman is just appalling. And we keep hearing about this time and time again.
Is the law doing anything to make it safe in this country?
I think the answer is.
Well, the problem with the law is people that are going to break the law will take no notice of it in any case. So it will affect good law-abiding dog owners, but the people that are using these dogs as attack animals and literally as weapons, which is what they are, they're not going to take any notice of the law, are they? No. And the owner of these dogs was breeding them, is allegedly advertising puppies for sale in November.
The weather makes a headline. This is front page of the Star. They're talking about 3 seasons in 1 week. I tell you what annoys me about this, that people get so annoyed about the weather. Right, so it's snowing today, it's raining tomorrow, it's sunny the next day. I can handle that.
But it is all over the place. And I have to say, I don't know about you, you know you talk a lot about litter on verges of the motorway. Driving quite a lot this weekend and just seen so much detritus from the recent storms. And it's like nobody bothers to clear it up. Along the motorway, it's just tree mess everywhere. And it feels like we're just sort of going through this crazy spell of weather. Well,
I think it is crazy, but I sort of agree with Eamonn, because I think, you know, weather is weather, especially in this country. We know, I mean, we were driving yesterday and Neil said to me, oh, look, the blossom's coming out.
Yes, I've seen daffodils.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, spring is sprung, but then we have torrential rain, we have wind, we have everything else. But that's what makes us so British, is we can cope with it all.
And we talk about it, we talk about the weather, because we're British, that's what we do.
Yes. Dull, isn't it?
About the weather over a cup of tea. Yeah, we do need to get a life Biggins, don't we, to be honest with you.
So this week we'll have unseasonally high temperatures. We'll then have rain, and then we may have snow Thursday into Friday.
Back into the sub-zeros again.
You just never know what to wear, do you, Isabel? It's like, you know, I just never leave the house now without a cardigan, sunglasses, umbrella, thermals. bikini, just in case.
Just in case.
I'm sure you're the same, Eamonn.
Just in case.
I've just been on a cruise, like I told you last week, and people have an inside cabin, and they come out in the morning all dressed for the sun, and it's pouring with rain. I mean, it's wonderful. They have no idea.
An inside cabin means they don't have a window.
Yeah, there's no window. They just, so all you have to do is feel.
They should put on their plasma TV a camera from the deck.
Well, there is one, I think.
Yeah,
but
check the deck cam.
I know, but it's I don't know. It's rather exciting, I think, going up and finding you're in the wrong clothes.
Maybe, yeah.
Dawn, the situation in the Middle East. White House National Security advisors warned that US airstrikes on militia there were just the beginning.
Yeah, well, we saw 2 attacks over the weekend, didn't we? On Friday, the Americans attacked targets in Syria and Iraq. And last night, Saturday night, was it? Then the Brits and Americans again hit back at the Houthi rebels. But this is the Americans saying, this is just the beginning. We are not going to give up. We've seen 3 American soldiers repatriated in their coffins, heartbreaking, 2 young men and a young woman. And the Americans, a bit like the Israelis, they're not going to give up, are they? You know, we are defending our rights. So it is getting scary, but
It's scary because we're so near to all of this going on. I mean, it's not as though we're in America, millions of miles away. We're just round the corner.
Yep.
Very worrying indeed.
Today, on this Monday, the 5th of February, is it today?
Already?
Yes, it is. Yep.
So today is known as Sickie Monday, and if you're going to be sick or think about dodging work, today is going to be that day. Were you ever much into throwing sickies, Biggins?
No.
No, I can
Never.
I can tell you why. Because you do a job you love.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you do
Very
a job
lucky.
you love, you never work a day in your life.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. And I feel sorry for people who have to go into offices. They may have to have a long journey. I think, unfortunately, that when we had the pandemic, people then stayed at home, which I think was wrong. Because I do think it's important to get together, to be able to discuss things, to be able to talk over things. But by the same token, I can understand why people take sickies in boring jobs.
Why is it this Monday in particular?
I don't know.
Well, it's the catch-up. You realise you've no money after Christmas.
Maybe everybody's
the weather's
broken their dry
rubbish.
January.
Yeah. I was going to say, how is it? How's your head, Isabel?
It's fine today. It was a bit delicate on February the 2nd, I must admit. Well, anyway, have we got time to talk about this story, or have we got to move on? We've got 1:20. Oh, great. Well, let's talk about the first sighting of the King post his surgery begins, because it's great to see him out and about. Sandringham over the weekend.
Yes, he looks terrific. I mean, absolutely marvellous. But mind you, I suppose, you know, if you've got that sort of status in your country, people look after you.
Yes, but no sickie day for him. He could quite easily have been able to stay in bed, tucked up and...
No, but you're right. He could easily have done that. But I think that he's a good man, actually, and he wants to show, you know, waving to the crowds as he is in the pictures that we see today in the papers. I mean, I think, you know, I think he realises, too, he's 75 years old, and he needs to show people that he's with us and going to be with us for a long time.
Like all of us, if you are into a career, you're into a job, duty, service, dedication, enthusiasm, example. There's all these sort of things that should go with you and your profession, or whatever your profession is.
I'm very lucky enough, like, you know, all of us here, to have a job I really love. I wouldn't want to be getting up and digging ditches if I was feeling a bit under the weather. But the thing is, what I would say about King Charles is the fact that he's raising awareness about prostate and prostate cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
He's done a great job with that.
OK, may he stay fit and well. Guys, thank you. See you again in 45 minutes. Now, the weather update. We go live via satellite to Jonathan Vaultree.